Hey ladies, welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, my name is Madison and I make videos about ministry, motherhood, marriage, all sorts of things like that. My husband and I lead a small church in Central Oregon. We've done that for the past 2.5 years and have been in ministry, him for about 5 years and me for about 4.5 years. We really enjoy ministry. We love doing it. We lead a non-denominational, Bible-based Christian church. We love the Bible, we love the Lord, and we just want to help other people know the Lord as well. I really wanted to film a video basically about 5 things that I wish more people knew about women in ministry. I know so many incredible women who are in ministry, and I asked a handful of them to contribute to this. So this is not only my thoughts and things that I personally wish more people knew about women in ministry, but this is actually a compilation of thoughts and just women's hearts that are in ministry, and just gave me some really powerful thoughts that I wanted to share with all of you. So whether you are in ministry, whether you are a church member somewhere and have some kind of a relationship with your pastor's wife or your women's ministry leader, whatever her role or title is in your life, I hope that this is helpful to you, and I hope that it just gives you some insight into how to just have a great relationship with her. Or if you are in ministry, I hope that it just helps you to feel known and connected and maybe give words to some of the things that you've been feeling. If you like this video, please be sure to give it a big thumbs up, as well as hit the subscribe button down below, because it really supports my channel and helps just boost these videos out to more and more women who are interested in this topic, who are Christian moms, Christian wives, Christian women in ministry. I hope that this is really helpful and just brings you great blessings and is a great resource in your life and your walk with Jesus. Before I dive into the first thing, I really just want to preface this video with saying that it is a great honor and a blessing and an opportunity to serve in ministry. I in no way want to seem like I'm coming down on people for not seeing me a certain way or not reaching out to me. I don't want to come across selfish or judgmental or anything weird like that. I'm so grateful to get to serve in Christian ministry. I'm so grateful to get to do what I do. It is a huge blessing and a huge honor and should not be taken lightly. So I just want to make sure that I preface with that, because I'm so grateful to get to be in ministry. And I just see so many women who are honestly just incredibly lonely in ministry, and it can be very challenging, isolating, ambiguous, unique job and calling for your life. So I just hope that this is something that helps you to feel connected to, and that doesn't come across like I'm looking down on anyone or that I'm frustrated or anything like that. Just that you get to kind of have some insight into my heart as a woman in ministry and a pastor's wife or preacher's wife, as well as other women who are in ministry in their hearts. The first thing that I want to share about that God really put on my heart, and in many of the women who I spoke to about this, was just the concept that women in ministry, we're only human. We are not perfect. We are not above anyone. We don't consider ourselves more spiritual or more holy or anything like that. We're just human women in need of connection, in need of compassion, in need of friendship. I think what a lot of preachers' wives can feel is this sense of high scrutiny. I don't mean high accountability, because accountability and leadership is important, but high scrutiny levels of people thinking that we should be perfect, that we are not allowed to make mistakes, that there is very limited grace for women who are in ministry or just people who are in ministry. I think that people desire to keep leadership accountable, which is so important, but I think in that people can go too far and just become very critical and just highly scrutinizing of leaders. And that's just a very heavy burden to bear. I have felt that burden. I know many women who have. So I just want to encourage you to remember that your preacher's wife is only human. She's not the perfect mom. She's not the perfect wife. She's not holier than you or more sanctified than you. She is just doing the best that she can to follow Jesus and become more and more like him. With that, a lot of women in ministry have expressed feeling like there's unrealistic expectations on them as women in ministry, on their husbands, on their children, on their entire family, of what it is that we're really called to do, and people really expecting more from us than I think is not only realistic but also biblical. I hear women feel a pressure to even neglect their family to the point of serving someone else and their family. This is real, guys. Like, we feel so much pressure in ministry to be more than human, but we're not. We're just human. We're just people who are trying to be like Christ, who are imperfect, who make a lot of mistakes, and need a lot of grace and love as we walk through that, especially those who are younger, like myself, who have not done this for very long. We are going to make a lot of mistakes, and we just need a lot of grace and truth and love in our life to cover over the sins and mistakes that we're gonna make. We're just bound to do it. So I really want to encourage you to remember that your preacher's wife is just human. She does not have any superpowers or anything like that. She's merely human. She's gonna make mistakes. Please give her grace and love as she walks through that life. Please give her children grace and love, her husband grace and love, because we are just trying to fulfill the calling that we feel God has placed in our life. The second thing that I know I feel, and I know a lot of women in ministry feel and express, is that we just need friends. We just need friends. We really do. Ministry can be such a deeply lonely job. It doesn't have to be, but it can often feel that way. Just like every other woman in the world, we need to feel like we can be vulnerable and authentic and our true selves with someone without receiving judgment and condemnation, that we can just truly have deep, meaningful connections and friendships with the women in our local church is huge, in our city. A lot of us have friends who are from where we're from. If you move to be on a church planting or you move to a new location to start a job where you're in ministry, we don't have built-in friendships where we are. So please just seek us out to simply be a friend, not because you need something from us, because you want something from us, other than just deep and meaningful friendships, because I desire this personally. I do have great friendships in my local church here. I'm so grateful for them. But you can never have enough. And please don't assume that we already have enough friends. I think I get that assumption a lot. Like, well, you already have enough friends who are in ministry, so you don't need me, or, you have a mentor, or you have whatever, like, sort of like we're spoken for or something. And I think that the assumption that we have so many relationships and just don't have room for any more, it's just not true. Like, I'm a person that I feel like I can have a lot of relationships at one time, a lot of deep and meaningful relationships at one time. Maybe not everyone is like that. I'm sure not everyone is like that, but I really enjoy that feeling like I have lots of women who are in my corner who are deep and purposeful, connected friendships in my life, women who are there for me. I feel like a lot of us need this and desire this, right? I'm not the only one, but just please remember that we just need a friend. A great way to start a friendship with your preacher's wife is by offering to serve her. Maybe if she has children, offer to watch her children for an evening so she and her husband can go out on a date, or can go be in a marriage discipling time with another couple, kid-free, or offer to bring their family dinner sometime, or buy her coffee sometime, or really anything. I mean, the smallest gift of servitude can go such a long way in friendship and just showing an initiation. So please just have a heart of, I want to seek her out and seek a friendship with her, and not wait for her to pursue me and to seek me out and to show an interest in a friendship with me. I'm sure she would like to be friends with you. I want to be friends with everyone. And it feels really huge to me when I see someone actually initiate with me and reciprocate with me. That just means the world to me in whatever way that comes through. If it's a gift, if it's an act of service, if it's through words of affirmation, just anything. Someone really initiating and trying to build a friendship with me just, speaks volumes. I think with that too, ask her questions. Don't make her pursue you and ask you all the questions. Don't assume that because you're getting coffee with her that the whole time should be about you and getting counseling and getting advice and getting support from her and getting scriptures from her. Come to a time with her where you're ready to give your heart and show curiosity about getting to know her and building a friendship with her. That is just huge. We spend a lot of time counseling and discipling and loving and serving others, as we should. Like, we should be doing those things. but it really speaks volumes when someone comes to a time and is interested in getting to know me, interested in serving me, interested in just building something deeper with me. So don't wait for her to, stop and ask you to ask her a question or something. I don't know, just to me, friendship is when both sides are really interested in getting to know each other. So please don't make her work for it. Please just be an easy friend in her life, someone who supports her, someone who wants to know her and is curious about her, and someone who serves her. I think that is what many women in ministry can lack. The third thing that I want to talk about is that we need supporters. We need women who are willing to follow us. Women who want to be our armor bearers like Jonathan was, in that sense that we have women in our life who, when they hear someone gossiping about us or slandering us, that they shut that down. Women who, when they're in a Bible study with us and we are sharing some hard, loving truths about the gospel with someone, that they're there to back us up. They're not there to cut us down or to make excuses for someone or, to just go behind our backs or anything. I feel like female relationships in the world can just be disappointing, and we don't really stick up for each other enough, especially in hard situations. So please just know that your preacher's wife, she needs someone to support her. If she leads a ministry in your church, she needs people who want to follow her, who want to make that job easier, who are not looking to criticize her and tear her down, but are looking to build her up and to really hold her arms up with strength as she does what God is calling her to do. I can't stress this enough. Even just a simple question like, hey, how can I help you this week? Is there anything that I can take off your plate? Is there anything that you see at church on Sunday that I can be doing, or any gap in the service that I could be better serving or filling, or are there any needs that I can meet at church on Sunday or throughout the week? Is there any women that you'd like me to get time with at church? Ask her if there's something that she could delegate to you to really get off of her plate. If you have the time and the ability to do so, I just really can't stress this enough, how important it is for women to feel like they have supporters and followers, women who actually want to follow them in their ministry. Don't make her work for it when it comes to discipling you. If you want to learn from her, which I hope you do, because God has put her in your life for a reason, please seek out discipling from her. Seek out advice from her. Don't wait for her to come to you and to track you down and to ask you really specific questions and to dig at whatever it is that you really need help with but aren't willing to come to her about. Please make her job easier by being a great supporter and by being someone who seeks her out, not only in friendship, which is so important, but also in just really what the needs are in your life spiritually. Ask her advice, ask for scriptures, ask for accountability. I always say get the worst out first when you get time with someone. Whatever you're really going through, be upfront about it so she can actually help you. Don't make her job harder by forcing her to really dig at you and pull out the hard things in your heart. Just be a woman who's really upfront with her in a gentle way, but in an open, vulnerable, transparent way. That just makes a woman in ministry's job so much easier when people are easily upfront about what's going on in their life and what they're wrestling with in their heart. Women who are in ministry can oftentimes feel just this pressure of putting on not a show. There is a temptation to put on a show or like a facade that everything's great, but I don't really feel that so much of having to be fake with people that I'm sure a lot of women do, especially if they feel really scrutinized or insecure. I more so can just really wish that people didn't assume everything was okay, that they didn't assume things were fine. Something that I've shared with a few women in my life is just asking them to ask me how I'm doing. It seems really simple and it seems not that big of a deal, but oftentimes people don't ask preachers' wives that enough of, hey, how are you? How is this really going? How is it going homeschooling the kids this year? How's it going with COVID right now in your home? How is it going in your marriage? That's a huge question that we don't get asked enough. I don't know, whatever is going on in their life, be curious enough to ask them, like, how's that really going? How are you doing? Is there anything I can be praying about for you? Anything I can do to help you, and just be there for you, especially if you know they're going through a hard time. Just be someone in their life who is genuinely curious and who wants them to do well, who wants them to be victorious, someone who really supports them and wants them to feel connected to you. I think this is so valuable, and please just be someone who often asks the preacher's wife in your life or the woman who leads your ministry, hey, how are you doing? How is that going in your life? Is there anything I can be praying about for you? Those can just open up such a meaningful and vulnerable conversation. I know in my life it really can. Helping her to do her job better can come through offering observations about things that you see or needs that you see in the church. But not only observations, like not just criticisms of this isn't going well or this is looking bad, just observations about how things are going, but with the intent of, and here's how I could support that, or what can I do to meet this need? I'd love to really help with the children's ministry curriculum, or, the presentation table when people come into the room, or the chair setup, or the worship, or anything. I'm noticing this or that. I'd love to be a part of the solution. So please don't just bring us criticisms. Observations are okay, but they're so much better when they come with a solution, not just criticism, not just observation, but actually wanting to be a part of the solution. That is huge. Please be someone who wants to be a part of the solution. The fourth thing that I want to talk about is that our jobs are stressful and they're ambiguous. So there's kind of a whole spectrum, right? I've used the term preacher's wife and women's ministry leader. I think that there can be kind of a spectrum of how women are involved in ministry, whether or not they're paid in ministry, how, if they're full-time, part-time, if they do really anything with church. I know some women who they're a preacher's wife, but they don't necessarily, they're not really involved necessarily in the leadership of the church. And then I know women on the opposite side of the spectrum who are very involved in the daily details of how a church is run, whether that's alongside their husband or alongside some other, partner with doing that. I think that our jobs with that, again, because there is this whole spectrum, there's not this incredibly detailed job description for us that's laid out. Our jobs can feel ambiguous. It can feel very stressful. They can feel heavy and confusing sometimes, and trying to figure out, I say that there's kind of three territories where there's, what's my responsibility, what is this person's responsibility that I'm interacting with, and what's God's responsibility or God's territory. When I'm praying for someone or someone is going through something and I'm trying to figure out, should I be speaking into this? Should I be sharing scriptures with them? Should I, is this my territory to be speaking into or trying to work through? How much is on them and something that they really need to be pursuing and seeking out and changing and wrestling with God over? And how much of this is just totally in the Lord's hands, that I need to step back, surrender that I am not in control here, and neither are they, maybe even, and just really giving something over to the Lord into His hands and His territory is what I've heard it called. That's a big part of my daily life and my job in ministry, figuring out how to really help people. We all have hearts of that. I think if you're in ministry, it's because you want to be a good shepherd. And a good shepherd tries to figure that out of what's God's role, what's their role, and what's my role in this. And that can just feel very ambiguous. Most people know that ministers typically don't make a lot of money. The couple who called us to go into the ministry used to refer to it as ministry is like taking a vow of poverty. And I just want to say, I think our church takes great care of us. We are financially supported. I'm so grateful for that. We are not in dire need, but we are not wealthy people. We live very simply. We live on a very strict budget because we have to. And I think with that, ministers, especially, men who lead the church, but both men and women, if they're doing that together, they do so much more than they're compensated for. They really are. I think that people who are in ministry do so much more than they're compensated for. So I think that mindset that some people can have of like, well, this is your job to fix this or do this or whatever, like, Yes, and please know they may have already worked a 60-hour work week. They may have already been in 10 hours worth of phone calls and conversations and discipling and Bible studies and intensive situations before coming to your doorstep or before answering your phone call and diving into the next conversation. Just please know that ministers and anyone who works in ministry typically does much more than they're compensated for. If they're a godly minister, they're really going to go above and beyond. So please just be compassionate and gracious with them as they try to navigate, is this a part of my job, or is this just being like Jesus? What is really my role here? That can feel really stressful and ambiguous. So please extend lots of grace with that. And please try to avoid the mindset of being very demanding of, well, this is your job, or I'm paying you for this, or just weird things people can kind of get into. So please extend lots of grace and love in that, because we wouldn't be here doing these things if we didn't love you and if we didn't love the Lord and if we didn't want to give our best for Him. Ministry can feel like a round-the-clock job, and we want to be available to people 24/7. And at the same time, we also have to have healthy boundaries, as this is, yes, our calling, and it's also our job. And we also have families and personal lives and hobbies and interests and things like that. So it's really important that we as ministers and women's ministry leaders figure out how to have really healthy time boundaries. But please know that our hearts should be, and probably are, that we want to be there for you. We want to be available for you. So please be gracious when we're not, when we have a boundary on our time frame, that it's not for no reason, that we want to give our entire hearts to you. And we also have other things in our lives that we need to give our hearts to fully, that I think people totally respect, like our marriages, like our families, like our children's schooling, all sorts of things. The fifth thing that I want to share about is that women in ministry, your preachers' wives, they need prayers too. I so often hear incredibly spiritual women asking each other, hey, how can I be praying for you? They have prayer lists going on, they have group texts asking each other, what can I be praying about for you? I love that so much. I think I try to ask that of other women a lot. Hey, how can I be praying for you? And I just really want to encourage you to make sure you're considering the preacher's wife who's in your life. Ask her how you can pray for her too. Please do. Don't assume that she doesn't need prayers. Please don't assume she doesn't need prayers. She does. Like I said, she's human, just like everyone else. She has needs. She has prayers in her life. She has struggles. I don't know what her struggles are, but every woman has something different going on in their life and challenges. So please be someone who consistently reaches out and asks how you can be praying for her. That means the world to me when people care enough to ask me that question. It's also a great way to start deeper conversations with her and just maybe open up a really vulnerable topic for her and something you can follow up with her about in friendship. It's a great way to start off deep conversations. Even if we don't ask, if you just simply know us and you're friends with us and you know what's going on in our life or in the church locally, please just keep us in your prayers. Please pray for our marriages to be healthy and connected and intimate. Please pray for our children to love the Lord, for us to be gracious with them as we learn how to become parents. My daughter is 1.5 years, and it's challenging. It is very challenging to be a parent. I need prayers. I think God is parenting us as we learn to parent our children. So please pray for us to really be humble and to be receptive to what God is trying to teach us, to not lash out in anger, or to be too passive with our children, to be just godly, engaged parents. Please pray for our homes and the health of our families, for the growth of the church and the ministry that we lead. There's endless opportunities for you to pray for the women in your life, and especially your preacher's wife. So please just consider her in your daily prayers, even if you just keep her name on there. Whatever she may be going through, she may have fertility issues, she may have budget challenges, she may have so many other things. Maybe it's a personal conviction thing that she's studying out. Please just keep her in your prayers and consider her every day as you pray for other women in your life. Keep her on your hearts and in your prayers. Whatever title you have in your life, I hope that this video helped you to feel connected and known and loved and just heard that other women are going through similar challenges as you. And if you are a friend of a woman in ministry, or you're a part of a church and your preacher is married, has a wife, has any kind of a women's ministry leader or female counterpart, I hope that these are really helpful to you on how you can just maybe reframe how you think about her, how you pursue relationship with her, how you support her leadership or her role. So I hope this provided great insight to you. If you did, again, please give this video a big thumbs up, as well as hit the subscribe button so that you can stay connected for future videos. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you next Thursday.